Wrong conceptions of the beyond cause an almost complete godlessness. Chapter 243. The consequences of the wrong conception of the beyond. Only the Pharisees were not in agreement, and the scribe said, "This matter sounds of course quite hopeful, but it does not agree with the concept of an opposite, everlasting reward. Since if the good person is compensated for his good actions, for his patience of pain and suffering of all kind, with an everlasting reward, also the malefactor, living in continuous luxury on this earth, should receive everlasting punishment." And if one would preach to people that finally also from hell a redemption is possible, then there will be even more malefactors on earth. Now, the fear for an everlasting punishment in hell prevents many people from committing evil actions, and the hope for reaching everlasting bliss encourages people to do good. But if we accept that also the damned have a possible chance to become blissful, then also the good will turn more and more to them, and the pure good will become so scarce on earth like diamonds. This is quite a consolation for a weak heart, but the feeling for justice is thereby diminished. This is my very straight opinion. Said I, the Lord, "For you it might be straight, but for me it is very crooked. If you believe that either hell or heaven are serving as a motivation to prevent people from doing evil and guide people to do good, you are still filled with an utterly wrong belief. For the very evil person laughs about your hell and your heaven, and the very good person is good without your hell and your heaven, since heaven and hell, as put by yourself, are really suited to make every person as evil as possible. For whoever does good for only the reward lends his money for high interest, and whoever does this has no neighborly love, and even less so any love for God. For whoever does not love his neighbor, whom he can see, how can he love God, whom he cannot see? But let's take away heaven and hell, and afterwards take a look at your devout people. They will begin to rage and rave even worse than an extremely profit-greedy broker, whose debtor has run away with his loan money. And because they do not have to fear the punishment of hell anymore, such people can only be restrained by sanctioned world laws. Already in the beginning, the people behaved badly, when the elders described hell to their children as hot as possible, and painted heaven with all the colors of light and an all-indulging comfort for human senses. Thereby, they effectuated a kind of fear of God, which, however, never turned into any true love for God and the neighbor, because hell was much easier to attain. Instead, it degenerated into an even bigger fear in weaker souls, and with the stronger souls that possessed greater light within, it effectuated a complete indifference towards God and their fellow men. For these stronger persons believed in nothing for themselves, but in a token gesture they played along, to keep the common people in their belief, in hopes that they would not rise up against those for whom they had to work, so that they could prepare the ultimate heaven on earth for themselves, for the lost belief in a God, heaven, and hell. Another consequence of it is the almost utter godlessness among the people currently, who would have long since risen up against their masters with the greatest rage, and would have asked them for the reason why they have to serve and submit to them, if it wasn't for the worldly laws of Rome sanctioned by the sword, preventing them from doing so. See, all this is a result of such a feeling of justice in the human soul, which always, just like you, preaches to the people with the sharpest of words that God always rewards the good in heaven, but as a consequence of his relentless justice, he also punishes the evil forever in the most terrifying hell, with unheard of tortures and without any relief. Oh, you fools! Does there exist a father with only a little love for his children who would throw one of his children into the dungeon for the rest of its life if it committed a mistake against his order, and would, on top of it, chastise it daily for as long as it lives? If no human father could even do this, being basically bad since he is a human, how much less will the Father in heaven do so, who is the everlasting and purest love and goodness itself? Or just imagine for yourself a truly wise and quite reasonable person on earth. Will he ever approve of an everlasting punishment for a sinner, or will he award anybody with such punishment? Surely not, and even less so the most wise God. But I tell you that in the future, among my true followers, no punishment and not even temporary penalties should exist, even though until now it's said, life for a life, eye for an eye, and tooth for a tooth. If someone slaps you in the face, do not hit him back, but present your other cheek as well, so that he can give you another slap. Otherwise, he cannot have peace with you, so that, in the end, there will be peace and unity between you. If someone has struck you and you have lost an eye, do not do the same to him, but forgive him. And as someone suffering, you will better his heart. Never repay evil with evil. And as my true disciples, you will have peace in the world. And thereby you will show that you are truly my disciples. Chapter 244, on judging and punishments. Said the scribe now, Lord and Master, I can see now that only you are extremely good and true, and it is best to behave and to believe and to speak as you have explained everything from bottom to the top. Only with the abolishment of capital punishment I cannot completely agree. If the life of a murderer is not taken in response to the loss of the life of his victim, then nobody would ever feel safety for their lives again. Only the certainty of capital punishment prevents many from committing the greatest atrocities. Said I, yes, this is again your opinion. However, I have a completely different opinion in this regard. A tiger bears his own, and so does a lion, a panther, and a hyena. If a rough and neglected person, driven by his beastly passions, kills a person, the killed would have the right to kill his killer in response. However, a third, to whom the killer has never done any harm, has no right at all to take revenge on the killer on behalf of the victim. However, since such an animalistic person can become dangerous for other people as well, he may be hunted down. If he is caught, he should be held in a good prison, be given education, and it should be attempted to make a good person out of him. If this is achieved, you have turned a devil into a person, for which you can expect more of the reward of the true life in you than you could for having the murderer killed. This would be one of the best ways to handle a murderer. Or, in another case, where the murderer is a too deeply rooted devil, hunt him down, and if you have caught him, ask him for the reason why he has committed such atrocities, and if he even feels remorseful. If he speaks the truth, then do as I have explained previously. However, if he lies about the deed and does not answer you properly, despite you being convinced that he is the culprit, make sure that he, in future, is not a danger to society anymore. not by killing him, but by means of a strong prison, by blinding his eyes, or by banning him to a far-off area somewhere along the coast, from where no return will be possible for him. This is my advice on how you should behave in such a situation, as my true disciples. You can better your society and cleanse it from perpetrators. But you should not set up a court, since whoever judges will one day be judged by me as well. In turn, whoever does not judge will also not be judged by me. If you curse and damn the ones that sinned against you, you can one day expect the same from me. But if you walk in my teaching, you will not be damned and cursed. You shall not even call your brothers Raka, a backstabbing, treacherous person, since thereby you already made yourself guilty and have warranted judgment over yourself. Because if you mean it seriously, you have cast judgment over a brother. Even less should you say to a brother, no matter how stupid he may be, that he is a fool. For if you are wiser than he is, you are as such only out of the mercy of God. If you have become proud because of it, and it occurs that you are ashamed for the stupid ones, and that you do not want to speak to them, and you say, "Who can speak with a fool?" Unfortunately, such a judgment originates from a germ of hell within you, and thereby you make yourself guilty of the infernal fire, seal. It is not good when even one little spark of hell is ignited in my disciples through such false seal, for even the smallest of sparks can create a large fire. In hell, the fire of haughtiness is greater than all else, and in heaven, only the light of the highest humility and modesty shines, and the gentle fire of love warms and enlivens everything. Do you understand this?